Okay, everybody. Well, thanks for joining us today to hear me talk about Cisco Contact Center Enterprise curriculum updates. My name is Vick Tagawa, and I'm the CTO here at Sunset Learning. And I have the great pleasure of introducing this new suite of courses. It's really an update to our existing curriculum for Contact Center Enterprise, but there's some interesting new changes that I think you might find interesting. So let's just move forward. Let's see. All right, so today we're going to talk a little bit about Cisco's contact center portfolio and how these updates impact the training for those products. We'll talk a little bit about why we had to do this curriculum update, and we'll talk, of course, about the curriculum itself, maybe look at the new partner requirements, or at least what we see as new partner requirements. They're not actually going to announce those, as I understand it, until probably the end of February or somewhere in there. And then we'll talk about what's available today, as well as what courses we'll be launching over the next 3 months or so. And obviously, if you have any questions, a couple of things to do is we have a couple of the authors of the course joining us today. And so if you put any questions that you have specific to the courses in the Q&A section of the webinar, those guys will answer those questions. And I'll introduce them now. The authors of this content have over 20 years of industry experience working with the different collaboration products, specifically with contact centers since the acquisition of Geotel back in the day. I think that was about 1999. Bruce and Mike and Mark have all worked with this product. So it's great to have them on board. They actually wrote this curriculum, and so they'll provide any expertise in what I miss as far as the presentation goes and questions that you might have. So let's talk a little bit about where we're at today with the Cisco Contact Center portfolio, and specifically which pieces of that portfolio this curriculum update is for. As you know, Cisco has Contact Center Express, which is really designed for smaller, mid-sized businesses in an on-prem type situation. We have the Contact Center Enterprise suite, which includes Unified Contact Center Enterprise, Packaged Contact Center Enterprise, and what was formerly called Hosted Contact Center, or Hosted Collaboration Services Contact Center, or HCS, which is now called WebEx Contact Center Enterprise. And for the purposes of our discussion and the training that was developed, it's really surrounding the UCC and PCCE lines of product. So that's what we'll be talking about today. And I suppose before we go too far, Kristen, didn't we have some polling questions? Let's see.
We did. I think you're the only one that's able to launch them, but let me know if you, there you go.
Let's see that. Here's a little question for you, just to keep this interactive and exciting. Maybe you can answer those questions for me. I'll just give you a few seconds. All right, so you're a Cisco partner. We got some of those in here. We've got some others in here. I like that. That means we didn't anticipate what you might put in there very well. All right. So we have some customers, and we certainly have some partners interested in this. That's terrific. All right, let's see if I can end this polling. And there we go. We can share the results. All right, so we have some folks in here from partners. We have some customers that are planning to deploy Contact Center Enterprise. That's awesome. Let's keep on going then. Okay. So from the standpoint of what we're going to be talking about, we'll talk, this training that we're talking about mostly impacts Packaged Contact Center Enterprise and Unified Contact Center Enterprise. As you're probably aware, in the unified environment, which was historically all of the installs of CCE in the past, it provided a lot of flexible deployment models, huge number of different configurations and customization that you could do to the environment. It supported a lot of different agents. but maybe the drawback was it was very complex and hard to deploy, and you had to go to multiple URLs and executables to launch the multiple different configuration tools. Under package, Cisco launched package several years ago, but they had hoped to sort of simplify the implementation using wizards, and then also simplify the administration by pulling a lot of those multiple configuration tools under what they refer to as the single pane of glass, or a single configuration interface. So that's the biggest difference between the two solutions. They're the same behind the scenes. They're the same software set. They are the same configure. The components, the call flow is very similar, but how you deploy and the architectures or deployment models that you can use are slightly limited in the package contact center enterprise, which, for most customers, or for a large number of customers, that means that it'll be simpler to deploy and manage, and thereby reducing costs for a lot of organizations. And so that's why package seems to be being adopted at a higher ramp rate than UCCE these days. And you guys are welcome to argue with me on that as we go through this, so please do. But based on that, we're going to take a look at the CCE curriculum and the updates, and I'll tell you a little bit about where those updates are focused on the PCCE and UCCE side of things. So number one, why did we do the update? Well, Cisco asked us to do the update because the old training content was based on UCCE version 10, and the new content is based on package contact center 12.x. So currently in our labs, we're running 12.5. And I see that we're seeing beta versions of 12.6 out there already. What we wanted to do is we wanted to reduce or eliminate the duplicative content that existed between the different courses that we had. We wanted to more closely match those course offerings to the different job roles that people have. And we wanted to reduce the number of days that people spend in training so they could actually be doing their jobs. And it also helps us out because we do a lot of custom training for large customers. It just makes it easier for our teams to go out there and customize training for folks for their specific needs and job roles. So let's take a look at this slide because there's a lot going on here. I really am showing you the old curriculum versus the new curriculum. And you'll look along the top, and those of you that are partners have seen all of these training classes before, I'm sure, because they were part of your ATP requirements. But we've taken those 5-day classes, those traditional 5-day classes, and broken them down a little bit. So what you'll notice is under the new curriculum order, we've created 7 classes. There's a 1-day foundations course, which is really for any non-technical audience or technical audience who's new to Cisco Contact Center and wants to understand how Contact Center Enterprise in particular, what all the components are, what the call flows are, and those types of things. So there's really no prerequisites for that. That just sets you as a foundation for everything that's going to follow after that. So it is a prerequisite to all the other training. Then we have the CCE administration course, and that's a 4-day course, and it really gives you the essentials of how to administer the system. So let's say a partner came out and deployed Contact Center Enterprise for you. Now, what do you need to do to get that system up and running, and how do you configure the essential things to make your contact center work? That's what we cover in that part of the course. It gives you the ability to do basically day 1 support after implementation. We have a 3-day advanced administration course, and that gets you into some of the configuring more of the advanced features and functionality of Contact Center Enterprise. And it also gives you the ability to provide that day 2 level of support. So for the more experienced administrators, you'll move into that curriculum. And we'll talk a little bit more in detail on this in the next slide. For those folks that are tasked with doing reporting or setting up maybe integration with different data sources, this is the course for you, this CCE reporting course. And for those folks, in particular partners, I would imagine, we have the 3-day CCEI course, or the implementation course. And that's a pretty exhaustive view of how you might choose different deployment models, how to look at sizing, all of the different considerations you have pre-deployment, as well as what do you have to do after you deploy the solution. And so that's a course that we're just finishing up right now, and that we'll talk about the launch timelines on that very shortly. We've also taken from the old courses, we kind of splattered troubleshooting throughout the different courses. Now we've there's still a little bit of that included in all the courses, and the instructors, of course, because they have 20 years of working with this stuff, will still talk about different troubleshooting methodologies and things as they go through the different courses. But we've also tried to take those tools and specifically focus them into one 2-day course. So you have a course just all about troubleshooting. And then finally, I guess this is arguably the most complex feature in the Cisco Contact Center Enterprise Suite, which is called Enterprise Chat and Email. So we've actually created a dedicated 4-day course for that particular feature. And that goes through a couple of days of how do you plan and deploy that solution, and a couple of days of how do you administer and maintain and manage that solution. So those are the 7 courses that are in the new curriculum. This next slide goes through a little bit about, how do I make a decision of which courses to take? Now, we'll talk a little bit more about that if you're a partner, because you have to take, or you at least have to absorb and take some exams based on the particular courses. But for customers who are looking at this differently than partners would, if you're new to Cisco Contact Center, the first course you want to take a look at, or if you're evaluating maybe purchasing Cisco Contact Center Enterprise, the first course to probably look at is the 1-day CCEF course. It's a great course for people who don't know anything about how Cisco implements contact centers. We'll take you through a little bit about what a contact center is, and then what Contact Center Enterprise is, as well as the different deployment models and that type of thing. It even gets down to the call flow level in there, but still not so low level that your head will spin by the end of the day. There's no labs in that course. We start with the labs or the hands-on stuff in the administration course. So that's the CCEA course. And if your job is to administer Cisco Contact Center Enterprise after it's been deployed, that's a great course and a great place for you to start. If you're then moving on and you want to get into some of the more advanced features and functionality of Contact Center Enterprise, then you want the CCEA course, or the Advanced Administrator course. If you're involved with building and managing reports and working with the external data sources and those sorts of things, you want to take the reporting course. And obviously, if you're involved with the planning or the implementation and deployment of Contact Center Enterprise, then you want to take the CCEI course. And that course goes through a bunch of stuff, including some advanced topics like single sign-on. That seems to be an area where a lot of folks have a lot of questions. So that's a terrific course to come to. Then, as I mentioned, we have the 4-day ECE course. And again, that's like its own call routing platform on its own for chat and email, right? So it's a very complex feature set that has some very interesting integrations into Cisco's Contact Center Enterprise. So if you're using that functionality for multi-channel, you'll certainly want to go through that 4-day course. And then finally, the troubleshooting course we already talked about. If you're having to maintain and troubleshoot, and even in the deployment process, a lot of times you get into situations where you need to look at those troubleshooting tools, logs, etc. That's a great course for you. Okay. All right, so that takes us then to the partner, what I'll just call the ATP anticipated exam mappings, right? For these different courses, Cisco has these defined roles like SCE and deployment engineers, program or project managers, and of course the AAM role. And those different roles, notice everybody is a candidate for taking the CCEF course. And notice that CCEF and CCEA course, the Foundations and Administrator course, map to all of those job roles, right? Then, of course, we have the SE role and the deployment engineer and the product manager roles mapping also to the CCEA. So for those sets of roles, you'll have CCEF and CCEA. For SEs, they're expected to know a little bit more about the solution, and of course, deployment engineers have to know everything. So for the SEs, you'll be looking at the advanced administration course as well as the reporting course, and there is an anticipated associated exam with those courses. And then, of course, if you're involved in implementation and troubleshooting, that is the deployment engineer role, and also a support role. If you have those, it's just these are the way Cisco's mapped them. And so you'll want to take the implementation and troubleshooting exam. And then finally, the ECE solution has its own exam, as it does today under ICCE. So obviously those mappings are subject to change, but we should see those announcements occur sometime in February of 2021. Okay. And let's see, since I made these polls, maybe I can do another poll here. Let's see. I think you guys, some of you guys said, for the customers out there, do you have, number one, are you planning, I guess, are you planning on moving to CCE 12.5? And if you're not, I guess I should ask you what you're planning on using. All right. So we have a fair amount of folks that are saying, no, we're not going to CCE, UCCE or PCCE. So I guess I should have included something in here about the cloud contact center. There we go. And so there's our results. We have a lot of folks that are looking at moving to UCCE 12.5, a few that are moving to package contact center, and some that are not going to update at all. Okay. All right, so that would bring us maybe to, maybe we should talk about this bit. As I move back through here and we go through there based on that information, probably what you should know is that Sunset Learning currently has all of the courses based around the UCCE solution. And these new courses are focused on package contact center in the labs, as well as some of the content or all of the content that we deliver. But remember, fundamentally in the back end, all of the software is the same, right? In fact, when we get our distribution of Contact Center Enterprise, it's not two different distributions, one for package and one for Unified Contact Center Enterprise. It's just one software set. And we determine at deployment time whether we're going to deploy packaged or whether we're going to deploy unified. And that determines then how the deployment goes from that point forward. So when we're teaching this content in the class, remember that your instructors have experience with both Unified Contact Center Enterprise as well as Packaged Contact Center Enterprise, so they can address your questions and your issues that you may be having with either platform when you come to class. Architecturally, they're the same. Call flows are the same, and some of the things like scripting and those types of things are exactly the same on both platforms. Okay. So what's our course launch timeline? The first 4 courses, the foundations course, the admin course, the advanced admin course, and the reporting course are all available now. In fact, the reporting course is just becoming available this week, as I understand it from Cisco. The next 3 courses, the implementation course, the troubleshooting course, and the ECE course, will come out between January and March of 2021. So that's when you'll see these new courses hitting the street. I think what you'll find is this mix of courses and the way we've broken them down makes it a little bit easier to consume the information that we're presenting. But it also gives us the ability to focus that information more on your particular job roles and responsibilities in deploying that. So let me just check over here. So I do see one question in here. do the new classes correlate to the new CCE partner requirements? Well, yes, they do. So that's what we just went through. Okay. Did I see anything else in the chat just for? Okay, so is it PCCE or Enterprise? So remember, it's Package Contact Center Enterprise. And so I think maybe the question is it PCCE or Unified Contact Center Enterprise? And in both cases, the curriculum is based on Package Contact Center. The labs have been created around Contact Center Enterprise, and that was what Cisco asked for. However, we can still deliver training. If you're specifically a UCCE customer, go ahead and come talk to us, because we'll deliver that training in the UCCE format if that's what you prefer. Okay. All right. So that is all I have to talk to you about as far as formal slides go. I don't know if we can open this up to questions or not. Let's see if we can. What can I do, Kristen?
People should be able to type their questions in the Q&A box at the bottom.
Okay.
If you guys have any questions. And I'll mention while we're waiting to see if any questions come through, we will be sending out a recording of this presentation by the end of the week, and then I'll be sending out the upcoming dates and links to the classes. So if you guys want more specific details on those outlines, you'll be getting that by the end of the week.
Okay. Well, I hope this was useful information to you. I don't see, let's see, do we get anything else? Are these courses going to be available in the next offerings? Kristen, do you have an answer for that? I believe they are.
Yes, they will. Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Okay. Well, that's what's coming. 7 new courses based around the Package Contact Center Enterprise solution set. Remember that a lot of that training, in particular, I would say much of that training is applicable to, as applicable to UCCE as it is to PCCE. But when you get into class, of course, you'll see that the administrative tools, et cetera, are using the new SPOG versus the discrete tool set. Things like reporting haven't changed. It's still CUIC and behind the scenes. Scripting is still using script editor. So those types of things, you'll still see very familiar things if you're a partner who's been doing that for a long time. And with that, I want to wish everybody happy holidays, and we look forward to seeing you in classes coming up soon.